Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to Saeed TV, and we are here. We're live. Big up to everybody who's locked in. And yeah, as you can see right now, it's just only me. We were meant to have Ben Jacobs here, but unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's not seen the message. I don't know, but I apologize. If he does come in, I will obviously bring him in and he can discuss what's going on at Man United. But yeah, unfortunately, something has happened. And yeah, you know, I mean, he hasn't been able to make it, unfortunately. But we are going to carry on the show because I'm not just going to delete the stream. We're going to do the show. Big up to everybody. I do apologize. Please like the video. Please like the stream. Oh, actually, he's just messaged me now, actually. 1 second. Running late. We'll be there in 10 minutes. So he will be here in 10 minutes, people. 10 minutes. So we are going to hear from him in 10 minutes. Got a hard 30-minute stop. That's fine. See you in 10. So he's going to be here in 10 minutes, people. So I'm just going to put something in the chat before people start mithering me. But yeah, man. Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's blessed. You know what I'm saying? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing today on this wonderful Wednesday? You know, it's match day, actually. It's match day. I have got a preview in around 4 o'clock with Crystal Palace legend John Salako. So I do have an interview with John Salako in around 4 hours' time. So hopefully everybody can come here. Who's in the chat? Ayanzo Jr.'s in the chat. Claire's in the chat. Who else is in the chat? Alien Teno's in the chat. Lanzel Jr.'s in the chat. Come on, my guy Danny's in the chat. What are you telling me, Ziad? What are you saying? Maxino's in the chat. Claire, big up to Claire. Dan Aziz, what are you saying? Is Sancho back? You know what? We'll discuss that, you know. We'll discuss all of that. We'll discuss all of that, man. You know what? That's probably the best way to start. Let's discuss that for around 10 minutes before Ben Jacobs comes back. But we have got the news that Jadon Sancho is back in training. You know what? I don't think there's a better news out there. You know, I mean, we can talk about ownership, this and that, yeah, but to actually see Sancho return back to training. So Jadon Sancho finally back to training with Man United first team, coaching staff, and club feels Sancho is making positive progress as reported by Andy Mitten. Eric Ten Hag's mission is to have Sancho ready with the team in good condition soon. You know what, man? For me, this is massive, man. You know what I mean? Nobody can downplay this. People can say, oh, well, he's not ready and he's not this and that. This is crazy, man. I don't think he'll play for another week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't think so. But to have him back with the first team training is massive, man. I thought it was massive that we've seen him pictures alive. You know what I mean? That's crazy. But, you know what I mean? I was kind of smiling, the fact that he was actually looked well. He was smiling. He was, you know, taking pictures with fans. But you know what, man? It's going to be a fresh new signing, people. Jadon Sancho, for me, like, it feels like I've never seen him, like, play. You know what I mean? It's been that long. When you don't see a player, when he's been out for an injury or whatnot, you missed him. And I think Jadon Sancho is going to be like a fresh winger. We need a fresh winger. We need options because, like I said to you, we're not scoring many goals at the minute. Obviously, we are scoring in terms of winning games, but you know what I mean? We need a lot of input from all our strikers. We can't allow Rashford to be scoring every single goal. That can't happen. So to have Jadon Sancho here is absolutely massive. You know, you cannot downplay the reality of Jadon Sancho being here, man. So I just think for me, you've got so many positions now. You've got the right wingers sorted. You've got Jadon Sancho and Anthony on that right wing. You've got left wing of Garnacho and Rashford. You know what I mean? You've even got Palestri in there. Ilanga will go out on loan. So, listen, I think it's massive, man. And like I said to you, you know, for what has ever happened, we can look at this as a stroke of genius by Ten Hag to take him out the firing line, to give him all the time he needs. So, look, we can look back at this and say, you know what? That has been an absolute brilliant kind of man management from Ten Hag. He could have easily just played him and said, you know what? You're still playing. You're still giving it for the team. And then played him through the pain, played him through the emotional damages. You know what I mean? In terms of mentally, he could have done that. But you know what? You got to give it to him. Ten Hag has took him away. He said to him, focus on your training. Get back to full fitness. You're not fully fit. You're probably not training right. Your headspace is not right. So you know what? This is what you need. So I'm just glad, like I said, when was Sancho's last game? Was against Chelsea on my birthday. And he had a stinker. And he's not played ever since then. So 22nd of October, he has not played since then. And I know we've had a World Cup in between, but he hasn't even trained with the Man United team. So he hasn't been around the Man United setup since October 2022. That's crazy, man. That's literally over 3 months ago. It's absolutely mad. And just anyone that's coming in right now, Ben Jacobs will be here in about 5 minutes' time. He said he's just getting his laptop ready. I think he's having a laptop issue, running late. We'll be there in 10 minutes. So he will be here in 5 or 6 minutes, people. Sancho will cook, says Jeff Harambe. Sancho was 2020 winger 2 seasons ago in a row. That doesn't just appear. Yo, listen, anyone that believes that, form is temporary, class is permanent, you know what I mean? Jadon Sancho, for what he was doing at Borussia Dortmund, that can't just go away. You know what I mean? The dribbling skills can't go away. You know what I mean? His technical ability can't go away. Football is a confidence thing. You see the Rashford. I said that Rashford should be sold in the summer. And I thought he was down and out. I thought his mentally wasn't right. Physically he weren't there. You know what I mean? His whole body, his whole demeanor wasn't there. He's made a mad turnaround through coaching, through putting himself in the right headspace, through actually kind of doing it on his own and being the man he is today. So I don't know, man. I just think for me, Ten Hag is revolutionized careers, man. Ten Hag is a madman. Look what he's doing with Wan-Bissaka. Look what he's done with Shaw. Look what he's doing with certain players that you thought, Fred, that they maxed out. You know what I mean? They maxed out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, under Ralph Rangnick. They maxed out, but all of a sudden they've got this new lease of life, and it's crazy. And it just shows you what you do when you put around other players like Casemiro, like Varane, like these guys who have that mentality about them. Lisandro Martinez, people who want to win. Nobody's slouching anymore. Nobody can show a little bit of weakness. You've got to win here, man. It's as simple as that. He's not available tonight. It's not available tonight. It's not. Which, again, like I said to you, I will have a preview at 4 p.m. with John Salako, so make sure you're there. But that, for me, is very crazy. We've also got some news on Harry Maguire. Yes, Harry Maguire. West Ham have contacted Harry Maguire about the possibility of signing Harry Maguire on loan to the end of the season. United's answer was no chance. Listen, I think for me, it would be crazy to sell. It'd be crazy to sell Harry Maguire without a replacement. That's first things first and foremost. You wouldn't want to sell Harry Maguire without having a backup plan. That's as simple as that, mate. You know what I mean? So people that want Harry Maguire out, I get it, but we're not going to get a replacement. You know what I mean? And West Ham are fighting for their lives. They need people who are going to come in. But we need depth, man. Our depth isn't great. You know what I mean? If one injury goes into, Lisandro Martinez and Lindelof, then what are we going to do then? And like I said, we can't keep playing Shaw all the time. What's happened to Tuanzebe? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Did you see the Osimhen news? No, I didn't. But United are in for him. That's my number one target. Victor Osimhen. Forget Harry Kane. Forget all of these players, man. Go and get Victor Osimhen. He's the truth. He's the future. That's what we need. We need the future, man. Don't sell Maguire, back up for injuries. You know what? You don't need... Everyone doesn't have to be immaculate. In a squad, we used to have players in who would come in and do a job. You know what I mean? And John O'Shea was sometimes that. You know what I mean? There were so many players who came in and did a job, and Maguire's just got to do a job. So, again, West Ham, they're fighting for their lives. It all depends if they come in with a offer you can't refuse. If they come in and say, right, we want to buy Maguire for 40 million. If they come in and they want to buy Maguire for 40 million, then we can go and say, right, we can go and get another defender that's maybe in the market. So, Ben is coming, people. Ben is coming. He should be here in around 10 minutes' time. Sorry, not 10 minutes' time. Couple of minutes, probably 3 minutes, if that. So, let's see what happens, man. Yo, big up my guy, United Sweden, man. Listen, it's been a while, bro. Everything is turning around. About ownership, let's have a respectful discussion. Don't forget everyone else wants the best for me. Big up playing. Listen, we will get Ben Jacobs' opinion, but just my own opinion first and foremost. I'm not sure about Jim Ratcliffe. I'm not. I don't believe this idea that you need a Man United fan to be the owner. I don't, because at the end of the day, every owner has a passion. Every owner wants a club to win. You know what I mean? And what I put a tweet out yesterday, yeah, and I don't understand the outrage. Like, they want someone who gets the club. Yeah, but Man City owners get the club and they're successful. So I don't understand this idea that, because Jim Ratcliffe gets the club as a lifelong Man United fan, he knows what's best for the football club. It's not always the case. And I just think, for me, I looked at his investment at Nice and I've read through it. And yes, Nice are not meant to be challenging for the football club, so for the league titles. I get that. But I think it's 90 million over 3 years. This club needs a major investment. We don't want someone coming in and then later on he's going to spend with limited resources, or he's going to spend not beyond the capacity. We need a guy who's going to come in ruthless, going to say, right, training ground, I got you. We're going to do this. It's a massive problem. Renovation for the stadium. Someone that's not going to prioritize certain things. We need to prioritize everything. So these guys that come in, and these Arab owners, they'll come in, they'll have that competitive edge, and they'll want to revolutionize Man United. They'll want to make their own history and their own kind of, imprint in the football club. So, and like I said to you, it's not what I want as well. Unfortunately, it's not what I want. It's what the Glazers, who they sell to. They will sell to the highest bidder. That's the reality. And now Ineos have come in, and they basically, all they've done is they've said, we're interested in buying the football club. We're basically going to be one of the front runners. They've not put a bid in. They just said, we're very interested and we're going to be coming in, and we're due to come in, basically, and we're due to kind of do that. Big up to everybody who's in here. Please smash a like button on the video. I don't normally stream at this time, so the numbers won't be the same. So please, guys, if you can like the video, that will be massively appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So please, everybody right now, please smash a like on the video. Yes, but I don't like state-funded owners. This idea, again, like I said to you, everyone has a preference, but you're never going to get good owners, like, morally good owners. You're not going to get that. Every owner has something that's not bad about them, but there's something that, there's discrepancies in there. You know what I mean? There's shortcomings. Everyone can understand that. But at the same time, if they can manage this football club to the right standards, they can back Ten Hag, if they can sort the recruitment out, have people in position of power, then that's all we need. But we do have Ben Jacobs here. Ben, how are you, Ben? Everything all good?
I'm good. Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. We're just discussing the possible ownership. I'm going to bring up your tweet from yesterday because I thought it was a very interesting tweet. So this is the latest, and Ben Jacobs tweeted this yesterday. So Jim Ratcliffe has officially entered the process to buy Manchester United. An Ineos spokesman tells Dixon Times, we have formally put ourselves into the process. Ratcliffe has spoken to Glazers before, and last year said he didn't feel they weren't open to a sale. But now it's thought that a full sale is the most likely scenario, and potentially as early as April. Rain Group are managing the sale process for Man United. Ratcliffe has also tried a rogue bid for Chelsea after Claire Kiboli were already in for exclusive period as the preferred bidder. This time he's entering the process from the start. Formal bids are expected in February. Ben, can we delve into what you said yesterday, and just in general, what's the plan now going forward for Sir Jim Ratcliffe?
So the Manchester United sale is perhaps a more rigid process than the Liverpool one at the moment. And the feeling is, although the Glazers will entertain offers for a full sale and minority investment, that their preference, and strongly so, is for a full sale. The reason why you might listen to multiple offers is because minority investors and majority investors still have to value the football club. So a minority investor valuing the club higher can still be used as leverage, even if they only, for example, want to buy 15%. And this is why at the moment, no suitor will be discounted. And the sale process is being handled by the Rain Group, and they are the same organisation that also looked after the Chelsea sale. And that's important for two reasons. Number one, because there will be some crossover in terms of interest, and number two, because they know how to get things done relatively fast. This won't be Chelsea fast because there isn't the same urgency, but I think that the Glazers want things resolved towards the end of, or by the end of the season. So then there's a transitional period over the summer, which from a financial perspective and a window perspective, which is obviously what fans care about, it will allow for a smoother change. If you do a takeover too early or mid-season, or it drags on for too long, then obviously it starts to impact your football club. Now, I think we need to be very clear here and cautious, because over the next month or so into February, we may well get other declarations of interest as well. So Jim Ratcliffe is the first one that's come out. And the clamour around that gets people very excited and sometimes ahead of themselves in the process. So I think before we delve into it, it's worth outlining the process so everybody has an understanding of how a takeover actually works, because it's not a transfer, it's not a race, it's not a hourly, daily update. It's a business transaction, and it will take place far more privately. The tender, and I'm going to call it that just for the sake of simplicity, even though this isn't a sale, for example, of TV rights, but it is a process that effectively says, inquire if you're interested, and we will send you the guidelines. You will then fulfill those guidelines, do your due diligence, have, broadly speaking, a deadline to submit a credible offer. Then there will be a shortlisting process. And then from there, things get more advanced. And that's when everything starts to move very quickly. So right now we are in the time scale where anybody can still express an interest. And in expressing an interest, you are able to see some private documents and do some due diligence, which helps you form your initial pitch or valuation. And from there are likely to be 3 or 4, if it follows the same structure as the Chelsea process, that are shortlisted. Then you get the opportunity to do more due diligence, have talks. In all likelihood, the Glazers become more involved directly rather than via Rain. And at that point, a preferred bidder is almost certainly going to be chosen. They would then have an exclusive period to be defined to continue due diligence and get a deal done. And then at that point, sales starts to be finalised. And then, of course, you get the Premier League owners and directors test and all of the other box ticks necessary, including the transfer of funds. So we get a lot in the media about so-and-so is going to bid, so-and-so will prepare a 6 billion offer. It doesn't work like that, because you can't come to the table with an offer before you know the valuation of the football club, and you can't value the football club until you've done your due diligence. So you can have an idea of what you think it's worth, but only from the outside in. So this notion, and we've seen it with Liverpool as well, that a organisation with deep pockets would come, call up the Rain Group and say, I want to bid 6 billion for Manchester United. It's nonsense. They inquire, they sign NDAs, they do their due diligence, they work out what rivals over time, if they're shortlisted, might bid. And obviously the more bidders, the more likely the Glazers are to get a higher price. So we're still quite early in the process. And that's why I've said repeatedly, February is going to provide more clarity. So then if we talk about Jim Ratcliffe, we have to be very careful here, because we know that he wants the football club in theory, but we also know that he spoke directly to the Glazers last year and they told him it wasn't for sale, which goes against the public statement and now the process that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has entered. And that to me tells you that the Glazers are still framing this process as one that is made by Americans in Rain Group and potentially for Americans, because the market saw what Chelsea went for, and Manchester United obviously believe they're valued higher than Chelsea. And as a consequence, there's credible investors that were not successful for Chelsea that may return to the table in some capacity. So with Ratcliffe, I think that he's kind of the dark horse to watch here. And with Chelsea, he was very vocal, very public, but also very late. He said he wanted to buy Chelsea and had the funds to do so and wouldn't have any debt in order to raise them, when Clearlake Bowley, the current majority owner of Chelsea, was already the exclusive bidder and were only weeks away from completing the deal. And Ratcliffe bypassed the Rain Group process and publicly announced that he wanted to make a bid higher than the overall capital promised from Clearlake Bowley. And he said he could basically do it tomorrow. And now, for the last 7 months or so, we've seen him very publicly talk about Manchester United. And shock horror, he's the first one out again to say that he's in the process for Manchester United. And sometimes when a potential investor is the loudest, they're the least credible. So what we know about Ratcliffe is that, yes, he could raise the funds. And yes, he loves Manchester United. It's his boyhood club. And yes, he wants to get involved in this area. But can he meet the asking price? Will he meet the asking price? And how credible is he compared to other more secretive, more private suitors that might be a bit further along in the process than Ratcliffe currently is? And I'm not saying that he's to be discounted by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying don't judge a takeover, unlike a transfer, based upon public clamour. Judge it based upon who gets shortlisted in February and beyond. And there's still a big question mark over Sir Jim Ratcliffe in that respect. So I think that there's a lot of excitement because it's the first official name. And I would expect in the next month or 2 months, others potentially to come forwards. But again, I say he has to resolve the situation at Nice. He has to meet the valuation and he has to maintain respect for the process. And if you're the Glazers, the last thing that you want to do is find that this is a takeover process that gets done via the media. They want this to be private. They want this to be done through Rain. They want this to be done at their pace. And there's Jim Ratcliffe saying, I want to buy Manchester United. I want to pay this amount. I'm in the process now. I could have bought Chelsea. And I think that we have to be very cautious because, as I understand it, Rain Group running Manchester United sale, having ran the Chelsea sale, were not particularly happy about how Sir Jim Ratcliffe handled his declaration for Chelsea when he was too late to the party. Now he's actually entering the process at the right time, so that helps. But I still think we should look at his bid for Manchester United as credible, but still with caution.
Absolutely. You make some very, very good points there. I just want to go back to, his time at Nice. Obviously, he still is there now. The actual expenditure that he's spent at Nice and the project he's had, is that a warning to Man United, or could that be not a similar story to Man United in the term sense of structure, whether he would have the money? Because Man United is a big job. We need a lot of work at Man United. Restructure the stadium, the recruitment team, the training ground facilities. Is this a project that he's able to handle? And do you know a bit more about Ineos and the way they kind of the funding is over there?
I mean, with Chelsea, and that's the only real clue that we've got into the funding, when Jim Ratcliffe declared that he was going to enter into that particular race, he made it clear that he wouldn't have to find any external partners, that it would all come from within existing funding and it would be channeled and done via Ineos. So in that context, we don't assume that he plans on partnering with anybody. And we also don't start with the premise that this would be a debt-funded acquisition. But what we know is that he has been put off in the past by the valuation of Manchester United, and the opportunity for Chelsea was deemed to be beneficial because actually the valuation of 2.3 billion, as Clearlake Bowley have now said many, many times, is actually a bit of a bargain, because let's not forget that that was a fire sale. And this again is why a lot of the suitors that came to Rain Group were very interested in Chelsea Football Club, because 2.3 billion was seen to be below the market valuation of Chelsea. And when there was such a clamour for Chelsea, there were 4 credible suitors. The feeling from other clubs like Manchester United and Liverpool is, hang on a minute, if they're all rushing at super speed to bid for Chelsea around the 2.5 billion mark, the final price was 2.3 billion, but there were some suitors there that actually offered more, but they were seen to not be credible because it was debt funded and the source of their funds were not clear. So then obviously Manchester United are looking at that and saying, yikes, if that is the interest at that amount, then some of these suitors are going to have a whole lot more, especially when you consider that the total Chelsea investment is not 2.3 billion, it's actually over 4 billion, because there was 1.7 billion of pledged investment to the football club on top of the fact that there was the sale price too. So somebody like Radcliffe, for example, and other suitors definitely have shown in the Chelsea process that they've got the funds there. And I think that that is going to please the Glazers because they can get the highest possible price. But it's also good news, whoever takes over Manchester United, or even if it's a minority investor, because there's a lot of people out there post-pandemic that feel like there's market opportunity right now to invest within the Premier League. And then, of course, we know from the sports ownership history of Radcliffe that he can take on a project of this scale if he's successful. In November 2017, he, of course, became the owner of Lausanne in the Swiss Super League. We know about his affiliation with Team Sky outside of football. And then back in August 2019, he was able to take over Nice. And that was a takeover valued at around 100 million euros or 88 million pounds. And Nice has been quite a difficult project for him. So I wouldn't look at Nice as necessarily...
That's what I was looking for, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily look at Nice as forming part of some kind of multi-club Manchester United model. It's very possible that he will surrender control at Nice if he's successful in buying Manchester United. And this was the feeling that we got speaking to sources from Chelsea as well. But of course, he can't say it at this point. So don't be surprised if Radcliffe speaks of commitment to Nice at the same time as trying to buy Manchester United. And then actually, that's just a normal thing to say. And if he's successful in Manchester United, there's a massive question mark over his involvement and investment and control within Nice. So I still think that he needs to clarify that if he's successful, because what he says now is going to be obvious. He can't say he's not committed to Nice, because if he's not successful with Manchester United, he's in an incredibly awkward position. So we're going to hear a lot about his pedigree in sport. We're going to hear a lot about Nice and Manchester United, no doubt being complementary if he succeeds to get to a more advanced stage in the process. But I would be very cautious about jumping to conclusions, because what Ratcliffe says now versus what Ratcliffe might do if he's successful for Manchester United, two completely different things.
Absolutely. No, it's good that you kind of said that, just to clarify for the people. It's just like I said, with what we know now, he's just come in as a front runner and he's just kind of made his kind of claim that I want to buy Man United. So at this stage right now, it's just basically you're in an auction and you kind of just putting your hand up saying, I want to buy. And then another, party will say, I want to buy. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see the developments as well, whether the Saudi, whether Dubai owners, is there anything that's the latest on that one and that front? Are they just cautiously waiting around now, or will they come in maybe late charge, like you said, in February?
Well, it's not necessarily as rigid as that. I mean, the actual process is rigid because Rain have got great experience. But I think you might find the deadlines become a little bit flexible, because obviously the Glazers' priority is to get something done before the end of the season. But this doesn't have the Abramovich and war in Ukraine factor where they have to put hard deadlines. And let me make that clear, that when we get to a shortlist or we get to a preferred bidder or anyone in an exclusive period, the due diligence is two ways, and therefore it can be time consuming. A normal takeover, even if it's on the faster side, can take 9 months at the optimistic end. And as we saw with Newcastle, can take close to 2 years on the pessimistic end. So I think it's very important here to stress that the Glazers are not there every day calling up Rain Group and saying, why is there no update? Why is there no progress?
Yeah.
It's going to be about finding the right price for the Glazers if it's an outright sale. And it's going to be about finding the right dynamic partnership and price for the Glazers were they to go down the line of minority investment. So we're still quite early in the process at this stage. And as things progress, I think that we should be less concerned about timescales and more concerned about credible groups that both meet the Glazers' valuation, but also the right fit for Manchester United Football Club. And the most intriguing thing for me is going to be how much of an interest in safeguarding the football club the Rain Group and Glazers have, should they, as we expect, lean towards majority sale. Because with Roman Abramovich, there were big safeguarding aspects in the tender, because the manner in which he left, he still wanted a legacy. So the stadium redevelopment, the pledged investment to the club, the funds being donated to victims of the war in Ukraine. These were all atypical factors. But of course, with the Glazers, they could just sell to the highest bidder if they chose to, without any real care as to where the money comes from. Providing they know that there's proof of funds and they get them, they may not be as concerned about picking between one or the other. And then the Middle East is intriguing, obviously. There will be interest from the Middle East for sure, but we need to be very careful at this stage in separating credible interest from rumour. And it's exactly the same with Liverpool as well. So were there to be, for example, Qatari interest, even though it won't come directly from QSI, who are also the owners of PSG, QSI will know about it. QSI will be involved in it in some capacity, in the sense that they will have a blessing. And Nasser Al-Khalifi will provide some kind of strategic support, whether it's in finding partners, whether it's in integrating into wider Qatari goals. But there won't be a direct involvement in terms of QSA by name, but by nature. And the fact that they are saying nothing yet, I think, is very telling. With QIA, which is Qatar Investment Authority, they don't have a direct link to QSI, but again, indirectly, they'll be talking. And QIA have said that sports investment might be on the cards, but it's nothing more than that. They haven't held a meaningful meeting with Liverpool or Manchester United at this point. But that, again, is because the process for both is still quite formative. So, of course, people are going to speculate. And if they become right in a month or two, everyone will say, we told you so. But right now, these groups are directly telling journalists that nothing is anything other than either rumor or exploratory. And I think that's very important. Specifically, I'm talking about in the context of Qatari interest. Then when we look at Saudi Arabia, I think it's likely to come from the private sector, definitely not PIF, because they're obviously the majority owner of Manchester United. And there's a few people to watch that work secretly under the radar to bring deals together. One is Turki Al-Sheikh, who's the Emira owner, and the other is Mohamed Al-Kharaj, who was the key deal maker to bring Ronaldo to Al Nassr, but also the front-facing person behind Saudi Media Group's proposed bid to buy Chelsea. So I come back to what I said before. For both Liverpool and Manchester United, there will be overlap between those that expressed an interest for Chelsea and now have either or will choose to enter the race for either Manchester United or Liverpool. And these, again, are just things to watch, because I can guarantee you, if anything happens, whether they're involved or not, whether directly or indirectly, they will be the first to know about it. So they are the key people behind the scenes that find the funding, find the partners, put consortiums together. And the same can be said for Dubai as well, where there will be groups and individuals and investors from the private sector that are intrigued and inquire, but the process is too early to say anything definitively. And then I know people also want to know about sovereign wealth funds. And again, be very cautious here, because even though there's a lot of speculation, these sovereign wealth funds at the moment are being very coy on their position, which is why you get a lot of clamour on social media, but not too much in the world of journalism confirming anything just yet, because with a takeover, it's far better to be right than first. And these are complex negotiations. So I would expect interest in Manchester United, broadly speaking, from the Middle East and North Africa. The Bahraini Sovereign Wealth Fund have ruled themselves out. The Qataris are generally downplaying anything at the moment, and more so for Liverpool than Manchester United, but still, broadly speaking, calling any possibility of anything exploratory. And QSI are firmly, if we're talking specifics, out of the conversation for Manchester United. And then obviously Dubai has got long-standing links with both of these clubs, and everybody gets excited by individual sheikhs or sovereign wealth funds. But I reiterate what I said before. We have to be extremely careful at this stage, because consortiums themselves and individuals are still all saying off record, certainly to myself, and I know other journalists that have got heavy experience working in the Middle East, that they're in the thought process. And that's very important to note, again, because until there's a hard deadline, until you have to make a decision, a lot of people will just be expressing an interest, looking at the due diligence and working out what the price is going to be and whether there's value. And I can categorically tell you at this stage in the process, there's no ability to make an offer yet. So sure, you can come to the table and you can say, I value the X, I'm interested. But then the response is not, great, we'll put you in front of the Glazers, have a coffee, put your offer in writing, shake hands, deal done. This is very much about express your interest and do it via Rain on their terms. And as a consequence, because of the interest and because of the February submissions for offers, if anyone is leading you down this belief that they want to pay this, they think they can pay this, they believe this is the valuation, they've already bid, that is jumping ahead in the process, which is still actually quite formative, even though it's going to move quite fast. And that's why we have to be very careful in how we report these takeovers.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Absolutely. There's over 400 people in the chat. Please do smash a like on the video. Just want to ask you a question in regards to United transfers at the minute. Is there any side of United's kind of window done? Have you heard anything about United in terms of maybe possibly buying anyone in the latest January? Or is that, do you reckon, Man United done in the market this window?
We're going to have to wait and see. I mean, we know that the ownership situation is informing the January transfer window. And as a result, Manchester United are not necessarily going to go big in terms of the transfer fees that they spend. So Weghorst is one example of that and could prove to be an inspired signing for Manchester United. And with Cody Gakpo, we know that Manchester United never bid. So there was a lot of clamour and excitement, but Liverpool placed an offer and Manchester United didn't. And I think we also should reiterate very clearly that January for every club is a seller's market, not a buyer's market, and that informs the situation as well. So one thing Manchester United will try and do is get Garnacho to sign a new deal, and then we wait and see whether there's any opportunism in the market. I think if Manchester United move, it will be to a small degree in terms of the financial outlay rather than anything box office towards the end of the window. And naturally, they'll be linked with a variety of players. But if we're talking about a desire to back Erik ten Hag, it's there. But if we're talking about the bigger picture, there's still that constrained element, which is not only down to the ownership situation, it's also due to the fact that Manchester United are coming off the back of a season where they didn't qualify for Champions League football. So they don't want to spend big in January. And then if they didn't make Champions League football again, they've once more spent beyond their means, and they did that towards the back end of the window as well. So I think that, like with Arsenal, there should be an appreciation for the job that Erik ten Hag's done, and there also should be a mood change, because there's definitely a feeling that Manchester United are entering a new era of football, a new era of identity, a new era, hopefully, of managerial consistency, and a new era of ownership, and with it, better foundational cause and sustainability around the business. But all of that takes time. And just because they have a quieter January transfer window shouldn't be cause for panic or concern, at least in my opinion. And Chelsea's the same. It's going to take some time to build. So we know if they move towards the end of this window that they could still bring in a midfielder, and that might allow them to entertain offers for Scott McTominay. Erik ten Hag wants to keep on to McTominay, but McTominay has a slightly different perspective in terms of the game time that he wants. And if they brought in a midfielder, does that allow an outgoing? That's one thing to say. Manchester United are creeping into the conversation for a budget midfielder like Youri Tielemans, but Leicester don't really want to let him go mid-season. And Newcastle are in the mix, and Arsenal haven't gone away. But remember, Tielemans is a free transfer at the end of the season. So our club is going to want to pay something now if they can lock him in for the summer. And then, of course, the other area where Manchester United would still like to strengthen is in the right-back position as well. So that is one to keep an eye on. And I know that there's vague talk coming from Italy that there's a chance they might enter the mix for Kevin Mbabu at Fulham, which is one option, but it's slightly a bizarre claim to me. And I would be surprised if there's anything legit in that, because he only moved to Fulham from Wolfsburg last summer. And Fulham are having a great season. There is a younger right back like Fresneda that a lot of clubs are talking to, and Manchester United are in the conversation there. And they stand arguably a stronger chance than some other Premier League clubs because he's young. And if they can give him a game plan in the long term, he might be persuaded by that move. Whereas if you're Chelsea, for example, Reece James is going to be the right back at Chelsea for many seasons to come. So it's maybe a little bit harder to show the pathway and the development. But, Dalot is the number one there as well. So all of these clubs have got a task with Fresneda. The release clause is low. It's only about 9 million, I believe. But you've got to be able to persuade the player that there is a long-term pathway there. And that's where maybe some other clubs will stand stronger chances comparative to their rivals because of either who the current right back is and their age, or because they've got multi-club models like the City Group. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. But unfortunately, Manchester United fans are going to have to be patient with this one because there's no guarantee that it's going to be a busy flurry to the end of the window because of the different factors that I've outlined.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ben, I know you need to go. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And like I said, always, every time that you give us is much appreciated. Thank you very much, Ben.
All the best. And let's hope Manchester United have a good second half of the season. We'll speak soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye. Peace. There you go, Ben Jacobs there. Thanks for people coming in. I will use the last 10 minutes to get your opinion. Obviously, I didn't pull up any comments because I don't want to bring comments while the guest is here. You know what I mean? Especially with a sports correspondent like Ben Jacobs. But yeah, man, interesting, man. Like I said, everything, people just don't panic. The oil money's coming, man. Listen, the oil money is coming. Jim Ratcliffe, do what you want. But for me, I want the oil money. And I'm shameless about it. I'm not hiding the fact that I want the oil money. I want major investment. I know what this club needs. This club needs major investment. It needs a mass. It's a project, man. And that's the only situation I look at it. I really, really do. Because end of the day, I looked at what they've done at City. And you know what? I can call it oil money. I can banter them. But they've actually revolutionized East Manchester. They've built houses. They've built training facilities. They've actually gone in and said, you know what? We're going to help the area. And South Manchester, if you look at the actual surroundings of Old Trafford, it's very industrious. You know what I mean? It's a lot of old buildings. It's not very modern. So I just think for me, we need a competitive owner who's got that edge in him, who's got that bite, who's got that hunger. And I think that wants Man United to go to the next level. You know, that's what I want. Ineos does major investment. I'll have the Manc versus the world. That's your opinion. And you know what? I respect it. I will respect if Ratcliffe comes. And I'll back him like every fan should. But right now, everybody has a preference. Everybody has a say. You know what I mean? What do you want? So, you know, big up to everybody here, man. We all need that oil money. I've heard Jim wants ex-players in a consortium. Not sure how true it is. But there you go. You know what I mean? I just think for me, having a fan, you know, having that idea just because he's a fan, I think that's where majority of people are falling in love with the idea. I don't think it's about what he's got and the money he's got. I think a lot of people are falling in love the fact that he's a United fan. And don't get me wrong, it's a good thing. But also, should it be that only reason he should be coming? Like, is that the only reason? You know, can we not get a Qatari guy as a Man United fan? You know what I mean? What we're saying is the love different from an Arab guy, you know what I mean, to an Englishman. Is that the difference? Because at the end of the day, they might love the football club the same. You know, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like for me, we all just have to be looking at this Man United job, and this role is a massive. And you have the owner, and he can't fulfill what we need. And all of a sudden, you know, everybody's shouting Jim Ratcliffe out. You know what I mean? So we need proper investors, man. They're not going to hesitate to buy players. They're not going to kind of, you know. And this guy here says, Nicholas says, the Arab money is blood money. Listen, and by the way, I'm not disputing that owners are bad owners. Owners don't have shortcomings. Every owner has some sort of blood on his hands. There's no owner that's a saint. There's no owner that doesn't have a track record where something's a bit dodgy or how's that happened or how's this happened. Every owner has something dodgy about them. So if we're here doing the moral high ground and we're here nitpicking up this guy's morals and this guy's morals, then we'll be here all day. We'll be here all day. So I'm not going to be Well, I am going to focus on that, but I'm not going to kind of like be like, right, this guy here has done that. I want what's best for Man United Football Club first, and that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? And like I said, we can have politics and this and that, but at the end of the day, the football inside of it, they are proven to be good owners. Look at Man City. Look at Man City, man. Seems Saeed at Nice. At Nice, he hasn't invested and sacked 4 managers. Why aren't they progressing the league? Red flag for me. Well, there you go. Just as president, why aren't Nice progressing? If he's got a billionaire owner and they're supposed to be, supposed to have money, why aren't they going for, Europa League positions? Are they in Europe? Are they in what's going on there? How are Marseille able to kind of overtake them? Why? You have to ask yourself these questions, man. Maybe what I'll do, I'll go and get a Nice fan. I'll go and get a Nice fan who knows about Jim Radcliffe, who knows about what's going on at their football club. Maybe I'm going to do that as well. I'll plan that probably this week and find out what's going on. Don't compare Nice to Man United. I'm not, but it's still a president. It's still a, we need to see something. We need to see what you've done. What's your CV? We can only judge of your CV. That's all we can judge of. So it's what I know. So end of the day, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Give me the person from the biggest bank to pull from. But there you go. Right now, like I said to you, there's no clarity yet. There's just all talk. It's all just kind of like, I'm interested, this and that. So end of the day, right now, there's nothing that has happened. He's just said here, I'm coming in. There was a Nice fan. Yeah, you know what? There was a Nice fan. Yeah. I still want that Sheikh money. Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, who is a member of Investment Corporation of Dubai, is a United fan. Well, there you go then. There you go. We need Kuwait money. We just need someone who can come in and know that this is a big project, that's willing to kind of spend money, send serious money. That's what we need, people. That's what we need. We need credible owner. We need a credible owner who's going to come in and be ruthless. Because that's what we need right now. We need ruthlessness. So that's what we are striving for. And I hope we get it. I really do, because this football club needs that. It really, really does need that. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to put a link in here, guys. I want you to go in this link right now. And everybody go and smash the like button in this video. I'll be live at 4 p.m. with John Salako. I don't know if you guys know John Salako is. He's a former Crystal Palace winger. Played there for many years. I think he played for Reading as well. So I'll be doing a preview with him at 4 p.m. So I need everybody right now to smash a like on the video right now here. Please smash a like on the video. And also go into this link right now and hit the like button. Let's get to at least 100 likes in this video. Let's see if we can do that, guys. So right now, everybody, leave this stream. Hit the like button on this link right there. And yeah, I'll see you guys at 4 p.m., guys. It's been a good stream, man. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.